Welcome to session 11 of the FAQCrew GM chat. I have a new guest today. Please introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Cosmic Candy. Also, Kalea is my real life name. Um, Find me on Twitter, find me on Twitch, find me on all the places.
Okay, I'm sure people will do that. So let's start at the beginning. How did you get into role playing and DMing?
Um, it started off, thinking about it now, it was originally when I was like 14. Um, I got really into the West End Games Star Wars role-playing game, the D6 system,
Oh yeah.
and at one point, I probably had every book that West End made. I had shelves full of all of those books. And I would go every couple of weeks and buy one of the new books. And I would run games, what we liked to call Uber games, for me and my cousin. And, we weren't role playing per se, but we would pick one of the characters and then we would level them up to super crazy levels and then we would fight. So that was kind of my first foray in.
All right. And so you started, well, when did you start traditional DMing?
Um, that wasn't until 1997. I had
Hmm.
gotten involved with Vampire the Masquerade with some friends,
Yeah.
and so I started playing there. And then what we did was we would play Vampire for part of the day, and then we would play Star Wars for the next part.
Hmm.
Um, and so I was the DM for the Star Wars games.
Okay. So, and when did you start playing D&D?
D&D wasn't until 2003,
Hmm.
uh, when I was in the military, and several of the people in the military were like, "We play D&D, we play Star Wars. Come join us." I was like, "All right," and so there I started off as a player,
Hmm.
and I didn't start DMing Dungeons and Dragons really until just recently, to be honest, because my friend group they always they always ran the D&D. I was always running the Star Wars.
All right.
So
So you started there with fifth edition?
I started DMing D&D
Yeah.
5th edition, but I've been playing since 3.0.
All right. Okay. And in the campaign you're currently running, is it your own world or are you running a module?
I'm it's my own story, but I'm running out of Faerun, out of
Hmm.
Forgotten Realms. But it's, you read the DMG and it says this is an alternate universe for you to play around in, basically. So I'm using the alternate universe rule,
Yeah.
and we are we are running my campaign that way.
All right. So did you make that choice because it was convenient that Faerun is a very well open, flexible setting that's already there?
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I probably could have put it in my own world,
Mm.
um, but I've been working on this story for years now, since early 2000, I think. And I was like, this story isn't coming out. And finally, role playing was like, role playing is going to let this story come out. So
Hmm.
I took Forgotten Realms because I'm familiar with it, familiar with the setting, and there are places in Faerun, specifically Kalimport, is where the players started off, um, that gave me the feel that I needed. Initially, the story was a post-apocalyptic war story, kind of, and the players were trying to restore the or in the characters were trying to restore the world back to balance.
Hmm.
Um, and so I've taken some of those elements from the original story and just kind of ported them over into D&D.
All right. Okay. And Did your players had any influence in the starting conditions of the world, maybe by character backgrounds or classes they wanted to play?
They didn't actually.
Hmm.
Um, in the beginning, and I apologize to my initial player group for this, if any of them are watching, because I don't have any of my original players
Hmm.
that started with me. There were some personal differences and real life set in and all of that stuff. I'm not mad, just it is what it is.
Yeah.
Um, so I don't have any of my initial player base, and when I was first starting to get my DM feet back under me, it had been a long time since I played and run anything. The last time was like 2008. Um, and I started this campaign last August.
Okay.
So, um, I was still trying to get my DM legs back underneath me, and I was kind of railroading them really hard.
Hmm.
And I realized that very quickly and once I started getting my new players to replace the ones that I was losing, I was letting go more and
Hmm.
letting them have more influence in the story, and things started to go a lot smoother at that point. But initially, no, they didn't have any kind of input into what was already happening in the world.
Okay. So how would you describe the campaign you're running? Where's the focus? Is it RP heavy? Is it exploration heavy? Is it combat heavy? And how would you describe it to somebody who has never heard about it before?
Okay, so Desert Winds is the name of my campaign, and we class ourselves as a dramedy. We are very RP heavy,
Hmm.
um, but we also get super goofy. Because it's just the kind of campaign I like to run. I have a background in improv theater
Hmm.
and specifically improv theatrical comedy, so it just happens. But the story that anybody coming in now would need to know is that the party has found out that the world is a machine.
Hmm.
Um, and 2 millennia ago, the gods staged a test uh, for the people of Faerun, and they had this order of monks pull out what they called life stones
Hmm.
from this machine. There's a life and death life stone, fire, water, earth, and air
Yeah.
life stone. Um, so they've pulled out these life stones, they've scattered them around the world, and basically those life stones had the creation energies of the world in it and was sustaining them. Working together, they were able to keep renewing and replenishing the world. Well, now 2 millennia later, the magic is starting to run out and the world is dying.
Hmm.
So basically, the if people are worthy to live on Toril, they'll find the stones and restart the world.
All right.
So they've already found the life and death life stone. They're
Hmm.
working on the water life stone right now,
Yeah.
and that's kind of where we're at.
Okay. Sounds very interesting. And would you said you have a lot of RPing and sometimes goofy RPing because of your improv background. Do you feel that it really helps you being a DM? So
Oh, definitely,
possible DMs maybe take an improv class at some point?
definitely. I would highly recommend it. Or play games like I've got product placement here.
All right.
Fairy Tale Gloom.
Wow.
Um,
Nice.
Gloom, by its nature, I don't know if you're familiar with it,
Yeah.
is a storytelling game.
Mhm.
Um, and you have to tell a cohesive story in order to play your cards. So I'm trying to get my daughter started DMing as well. She's working on her own campaign. She's 11. Rock
Yeah.
on, kiddo. Um, and we're playing Gloom, and she's coming up with really good stories, and it's helping her out a lot. But the reason I say definitely take an improv class is, as we've heard from the cast of Critical Role, the key to improv is saying yes and.
Mhm.
So my players have come to me and they're like, I want to do this thing. and I think about it, and I go, okay, so here's how this is going to work. Um, I need you to roll a strength check. Okay, case in point, our rogue the other day stabbed a marrow with
Mm-hmm.
her trident, and she was trying to pull it back out. So I had her roll a dexterity check first to see if she could grab it while he was swimming around.
Yeah.
Then I had her make her strength check to try and see if she could pull it free once she had a hold of it.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a thing that, well, can I grab it? Yeah, sure. Here's how you're going to do it. And that was all improv based on my familiarity of the rules.
All right, great. Okay, and usually improv is, I feel it's important because you never know what players are going to do.
Yeah, the only thing that we can guarantee that players are going to do is break the module the soonest opportunity.
Yep, very much agreed. Uh, how much time do you spend preparing for your sessions, roughly?
Um, I don't do a lot of traditional preparation.
Mm-hmm.
I think about the encounters that are coming up, but I don't like actually put them down onto paper
Mm-hmm.
necessarily. Um, because I know that in the middle of um, I know that in the middle of my game things are bound to change. So I have a general story line that I'm working on and characters that they could meet. And I set out those plot points and I set out the encounters that are going to happen within there, but it's primarily up here.
Mm-hmm.
It's not put down into any kind of traditional medium.
Okay, so pretty much like I do it actually. So because I'm not good at advanced preparation for stuff like that as well. And usually, like we said, it's not really going to go that way anyway.
Right, right.
Okay. How do you deal with PC dying in your campaign, or has it happened yet?
It has not happened yet. They've come really close a couple of times.
Mm-hmm.
They're actually really close right now. They were being attacked by this group of Marrow. Um, and several of them have gone unconscious, and they're underwater. So
Yeah.
yeah, they're like, we're gonna get TPK'd, we're gonna get TPK'd, and I'm sitting in the back going, guys, come on, you're the heroes. You think I'm gonna let that happen? Um, so previously, one of the characters made a big mistake and attacked this whole group of Marrow, um, and they were definitely outnumbered. That was one area where improv got me into trouble
Mm-hmm.
because the CR was way too high. Um, but I was able to pull in another monster and actually had it attacking the Marrow because they were bleeding. I brought in some sharks,
Nice. Yeah.
so I delivered them that way. And I have an idea to deliver them from this one as well. That's going to be a little bit more story driven.
All right, but you wouldn't necessarily do it every time. So if somebody died in a big fight or did something really stupid, you would accept the consequences.
I would accept the consequences because there's always another point in the story where somebody can come in.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I like to be flexible with allowing players to come in. You know, so if they died, it happens. It's
Yeah.
a thing that happens. If it was something that I felt was my fault, I would definitely apologize to the player after the session. But
Mm.
in the meantime, we would keep running.
Yeah. Okay, and would you, um, concerning resurrection magic, would you do the mercer method with, having it being a ritual, or would you say, okay, you are level X, you know that spell, bring him back, bring him or her back?
I like the ritual challenge because it makes it uncertain.
Mm.
Um, but I think I would tend to move just towards the you cast res and it works, as long as you're not in the demi-plane of dread, you know,
Yeah.
where Strahd can intercept it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm currently uh, having my players go through there.
Oh, it's fun. It's fun.
Yeah,
I'm running on Wednesday nights
great.
for the D&D Adventures League group.
Oh, very nice.
Oh yeah, it's been fun so far.
Okay, who, well, let's do it the other way around. Would you care to share a favorite anecdote from being a player and a DM? Anything that really stuck in your mind?
Oh goodness. So as a player, and I tell this story a fair amount just because it was awesome. I was playing in an epic level campaign with a friend of mine,
Hmm.
and he had created a world where we were going to be dragon riders,
Ooh, nice.
and so we were epic level, and my character um, was a fighter slash knight,
Hmm.
and we went into this merfolk city, and we had to go rescue the princess.
Hmm.
Uh, she was wrongly imprisoned for something. I don't remember what the deal was, but we had to go. We had to go save the princess, and my character fell in love with her instantly at that point. So later in the campaign, we came back because we needed some stuff to
Hmm.
help us along the way. And while we were in the merfolk city, I was like, I'm going to go see the princess. Well, the guards were standing there posted up, and they said, by order of the king, nobody, nobody can come in and see the. I'm like hell, I can't. I'm going in to go see this princess. So I went swimming in, and the DM had me start rolling Constitution saves because I was beyond the point where I should start suffocating.
Okay.
Natural 20, 19. I was rolling high for like 6 rounds. He's like, "Okay, you're still saving. You're still saving." Well, finally, I hit the natural 1
Yeah.
on the save, and I mean, I'm fighting off these guards as they're trying to subdue me. Finally, I hit the natural 1 and started floating, and
Hmm.
they took me and imprisoned me. Um, as a DM, the other day, a couple weeks ago, a month ago, something on Critical or not Critical Role, Desert Winds. ah, on Desert Winds, we were um, playing, and the party was getting close to where they needed to come find the water lifestone.
Hmm.
Um, and I figured the party was they were on a ship traveling from one place to another, and I thought that a pirate encounter would be really cool.
Yeah.
And my primary 5th edition PC is Teleri Seabreeze. She's a moon elf swashbuckler.
Oh.
Um, and I thought it would be a really cool way to have her cameo.
Hmm.
And it would be a fun encounter for the party. So uh, what we did is as the ship that the characters were on were approaching, they saw cannon fire in the distance, and I described it to them like this was low lightning is almost what it looked like, a low cloud with lightning in it, and they're like, what's going on? Because none of them had ever seen this before.
Hmm.
So as we get closer, the NPC captain of the ship that they were on is like, that's cannon fire, and so they moved in to engage. They're like, we're not sure who to help or who to harm in this, and it turns out that the ships that were fighting was the Raven's Tooth, the ship of
Hmm.
my player character, and a Thayan vessel from the Wizards of Thay. And so the party engaged, and our wizard Quirk had his familiar swoop into the water, pick up a fish, and attack the primary bad guy of this encounter with it. And he rolled a natural 20. I had him roll a dex. I had him roll a dex check to, see if he hit with this fish. Sure enough, nat 20. And I was like, all right, roll critical fish damage.
Yeah, yeah. I've used the term roll goat damage, so yeah, I know that feeling.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, when a dead goat becomes a weapon. Actually, killed a goblin.
It killed a goblin.
Yep.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Also, one of the things I like to do around Halloween, and
Hmm.
this was a lot of fun too, is I like to run evil one-shots
Yeah.
around Halloween. And what I let my players do is go into the monster manual and pick a creature challenge rating X or below,
Hmm.
and that becomes their character. They basically use the stat block for their character.
Yeah.
And so I was running this evil one shot this past Halloween, and the party went up into Mulmister, and they were trying to get one of the horns of Orcus back.
Yeah.
And one of the characters was an Orcish war chief,
Hmm.
and he had tankards of ale with him, and he was chugging the tankards of ale and then tossing them over his shoulder. I was like, so he takes his first one, finishes his first one, tosses it over his shoulder. I said, make me a dexterity attack, please. And so he rolls his dexterity attack. I'm like, yep, that hits. Roll damage. And so he rolled his damage, and he ended up killing a commoner with his ale tankard that he tossed over his shoulder.
Nice. Yeah. Those even one-shot ideas. Yeah, I might have to look into that at some point.
It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun.
Okay. So who are your influences when it comes to DMing? Who would you call an influencer?
Definitely Mercer and definitely Perkins.
Hmm.
But outside of those two, because I hadn't really heard of those two until recently,
Hmm.
my biggest DMing influences were my friends Adam Crockett, um, who DM'd for me a lot. And he was an improv DM a lot of times, it felt like. So I picked up a lot from him. Um, and he was both an incredible DM and an incredible player.
Hmm.
Um, and then another friend of mine, Jason Thigpen, who was very similar to Crockett in his DMing style. He definitely had a storyline written out.
Hmm.
So I think he was more planned, but he was able to improv if everything needed to happen that way. So just playing with those two incredible players and DMs was a huge influence on me.
Hmm. All right. And finally, any advice you have for DMs or even potential DMs who aren't quite sure if they can or should do it?
Definitely you should. It's going to be scary at first. Um, but one of my favorite quotes ever is everything you want is on the other side of fear.
Hmm.
Good advice for both players and for DMs, because that nice little shiny artifact that you want, it's on the other side of fear. You're going to have to go through the fear in order to get it. But yeah, it's going to be scary at first, but definitely do it. It's really rewarding. It is a lot of work. Um, but the other advice that I have, and we've already kind of touched on this a little bit, is um, plan. The only thing you can plan for as a DM is that the players are going to break your module as hard as they possibly can.
Hmm.
It's just the way it
Yeah.
works. Yesterday for tabletop day, uh, I was running DDAL 4-1 Suits of the Mists, which is one of the introductory adventures for Curse of Strahd
Hmm.
in the Adventurers League,
Yeah.
and they're like, yeah, we want to fight these guys. Well, there were no stats for these two characters in the module. Uh, there was they wanted to mage hand one of the items. There was no stats for the box or how much these gems weighed. So just
Yeah.
plan on characters breaking whatever it is that you have planned. But don't be discouraged by it, because you can come if it's really important to your story, you can circle back around to it at another point where it also will make sense. Let them go off and adventure and do their thing and play through it. Some of Desert Winds, some of the best episodes that we have of Desert Winds are when I basically went hands off and let the party do their thing. And I was gently guiding them through some of this stuff, but I was giving them some roles to make depending on how things happen. But by being hands off, they were able to take control of the story and bring it to new places that I didn't even think that it could go. So, yes, you have a story in mind, but it should be guidelines. Don't be afraid to go hands off with your story and let your players take it in directions, because they can probably give you good ideas as well. And Hano, I'm also noticing that you've got a Tiamat shirt on.
Not quite.
Not
It's
quite.
the critical hit shirt.
Oh, okay. Okay. I saw I didn't see the 20 on there.
All right.
So I saw the green and the black and the red, and I was
Yeah.
thinking Tiamat shirt. But I am wearing my Gilmore's Glorious Goods
Yeah,
shirt.
I saw. Yep.
So,
Always representing Gilmore. As it should.
yes.
All right. So, thank you very, very much for being on and spending time in your Sunday with us.
You're welcome. Glad to be a part of it.
And well, you can follow on Twitter and watch Desert Winds on Twitch? Question mark.
Yeah, we are on Twitch. We play at the Critters D&D Twitch stream.
Yeah.
And we are on Thursday nights in the 3 hours before Critical Role.
All right, and also on YouTube, or is it live or not? Not at all.
We are on YouTube. We are on YouTube, but I don't know which address to give you. Akiva, one of our, well, I guess if you go to the Critters D&D YouTube, we have videos up there.
Right.
But Akiva, one of my players, also hosts our videos on his channel as well. So.
All right, so all of the relevant information will be in the description, so people can go look it up. And again, thank you very much, and have a great day. Bye bye.
Thanks, you too.